right, folks. You pull my shirt down a little bit. Welcome to the latest episode of Live from the Black House. I am Darrell Douglas. I'm sitting here with someone who, to my right, your left, y'all know, Dr. Letitia Plummer, council member, doctor, dentist, mama, all of the above. Sorry for starting late today. I was at an event in San Antonio. I had the bright idea, Dr. Plummer, to fly there and fly back
during your
so I could save time. But apparently, no one's in the towers.
Right.
And then I took a taxi here. Mr. Magoo was driving, but I made it.
You're here.
I made it, and welcome. We're also joined by two other let me tell y'all something. This stock is picking up on this podcast. We have two other heavy hitters on the couch. Let's take a look. If you ask me, the future state representative, Danny Norris. I put it out there. I endorse.
I agree.
I endorse. I know I owe you a check. I missed the event.
Hey.
You had an event. You had a fresh start with Danny Norris.
Yes, sir.
A fresher look.
That's it.
Listen, I'm a fan. I love the new logo. You know, you're an amazing candidate. I didn't like that last logo. I think that's why you lost last time. You lost last time.
You live in your life. You live in your life. You got to do something different
this year. Absolutely. And Mr. Friends of Columbia Tap, Mr. Save the Scooters, Ed Pettit.
Thank you.
Is in the building. Ed, you got a lot going on.
A lot, yes.
Yes, and we're going to talk about some of it today. We're going to start with perhaps the future county judge of the largest county in the state of Texas.
Let's speak into existence.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Plummer, we just did this, I called it hopscotch. It was like we lost a Franco Lee, and then Randy Ellis jumped up to the thing, and then da-da-da. And it might be about to happen again.
Yes.
It might be about to happen again. Tell us first, what was it like when you won this at-large seat on city council, and now you're going to be down at the Hobby Center where they do the swearing in?
Yes.
And you get to walk across the stage and wave.
It was so good.
Take us back there. What was that like when you actually won? Were you sure you were going to win?
No, so I ran for Congress. I'm not sure if y'all remember
With the
during the whole Beto effect. So I ran for Congress, and we did really good in that race. I remember getting phone calls from my two opponents before the election happened. They were like, "Okay, when you don't make it to the runoff, who are you endorsing?"
Wow.
And I said,
"Bold."
Exactly. I said, no. Who are y'all going to endorse when y'all don't make it to the runoff? And so we made it to the runoff, and obviously we lost that race. And, you know, God always knows best, right? That's now a hard red district, Texas 22. And then I kind of heard rumors that Amanda may step down.
Isn't that? Wait a minute.
That's the same time. So it was the kind of the rumbles of Amanda running for Senate were popping around.
Who had that seat before Amanda?
Goodness, would that be? Was it Carroll?
I know. No, I want to say 5 is always. I think Judson was 5. Judson Robinson was 5. Carroll was 5.
We were all 4.
All y'all were 4?
Yeah, it's a 4 is historically black.
Oh, 4. Okay.
We were all 4.
So
I feel like Carroll was. Maybe I'm wrong.
He was before then, though.
It was before then.
Let me look.
Okay. Yeah. Let's fact check.
You're going to fact check it?
But yes, I heard rumblings that she wasn't going to run. She had not obviously stepped down. So I and my creative team decided to jump in 5. And Sally Alcorn was the winner, going to be was going to be the winner in that one.
Was a done deal,
right? And so, but I knew I had to get my name out there.
Clarence Bradford.
C.O. Bradford. That is
That's
true.
right.
How did I forget?
Oh, I love him. He's awesome.
He's
that is so good. He's
such a good guy.
Yeah, he was such a good mentor for me when I first got in. So yeah, so I said, you know what? Let me scooch into city politics because we've done so good.
So, like, literally, what is it like? So, okay, the numbers come in. And do you get like a phone call from somebody at the city that's like, orientation starts Tuesday, you got to do this, you got to hire your people by that day? Like, what is it literally like?
Yeah, so no. So, I mean, you obviously, first of all, election night's devastating because we were all in runoffs, right? So there were 15 people in my race. So I had to get through 15 people to win. So we, obviously got into a runoff. And
who were you in a runoff with?
Gosh, some things you just forget about.
Because I honestly don't remember.
I think it was Walter Trefino's son. Did he?
Oh,
I think it was Walter Trefino's son, which is a whole another funny story. But yeah, so that's kind of getting to the runoff was the thing, and then of course you have a whole nother time period where you have to get it done. But I'm always the underdog in races, so. I'm never assuming that I'm going to win, but I have a tendency of outworking everybody.
Absolutely.
But I will say this: the best part about that win, my grandmother's no longer with us, but I remember asking my boys, "Are they going to all walk me across the stage?" And they said, "No, we'll let grandmother do it." And I'm so glad that they said that because I have photos of her. I mean. We made the front page of the Chronicle. Yeah. She came into chambers and pointed at her name because we had the same name. It was really a special moment. I'm getting a little bit emotional because I really miss her. But that was probably the best part. And then, of course, you get your phone call. You go to your orientation. You have no clue what you're doing.
Yeah.
But when one person told me something that I will never forget, and I still do to this day, is pick 3 things. Just pick 3. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to fix everything. Pick 3 things and dig deep. And that's what we did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you pick your people, you hire a staff, you get started. Do at-large members get more staff than district members?
No. We get the same amount of staff as district members. Really, district members should probably get more, only because they're dealing with the day-to-day of what's going on. I always say the potholes and the speed bumps and the trash.
And you get to choose your portfolio.
Yes. You get to pick every. So basically, we're more policy-driven, I would say, and so you kind of pick your initiatives. And because I have a medical background, I just picked quality of life things that I felt would really transform people's lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. So. You make this bold step by hopping into the Harris County judge race. Very powerful position.
Incredibly powerful. So same situation. I hear rumbles that Lena's not running, right? And obviously I hear that there's an opponent that could be a potentially heavy hitter.
Yeah.
And so I had to just make the quick decision on what I'm going to do.
Right.
And I had a conversation, Lena and I had a good conversation at coffee, and we had a good conversation. I figured I had to get out of this soon.
Yeah.
And so the timing was important for me to announce because of a resign to run, that I wanted my seat to be on the ballot with CD18. Yes. It was really important to me. And so picking that date of when I was going to resign was a paramount because there's a time space to where it has to get on the ballot. And I knew that if we were going to get to keep the legacy going of that seat, we needed to make sure we were on the same ballot with seat 18.
Absolutely. So you've made before you announced, there was rumblings that Erica Lee Carter perhaps was going to get in.
Absolutely.
There was talk of her. There were talks of some other names. We haven't really heard about those, but we have heard that former mayor Anise Parker is hopping in. And on the left, that is going to be something that people are going to have to figure out. So Anise Parker, Letitia Plummer. Anise Parker, Letitia Plummer. If I were to ask you what are the key differences, how would you say because y'all are both Democrats, what's the difference?
So they're key. First of all, there are more differences and similarities. Let me be very clear.
Okay.
I think the key pieces that I focus on is just how we handled teachers and kids with HISD. Anise Parker supported the bond. Democrats did not support the bond. We did not support anything that Mike Miles was doing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is really an important piece because we all are now seeing what's happening with HISD in our babies. And so if you care about our future workforce and you care about what happens, we have to make sure that HISD is delivering. I'm a child of HISD. Yeah. I'm a product of the HISD system. So that is one thing that is very, very big in terms of our differences. Obviously, she's a supporter of Kim Ogg. She, endorsed Kim Ogg against Shontier, and we know that Kim Ogg is all bad. She has now switched sides, and she, against bill reform. all the criminal justice work that I've done at council, and so that obviously concerns me. And then I think another piece as well. When I was with Turner. In the administration, the Food Not Bombs nonprofit was a big conversation.
Sherry Dorr.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sherry Dorr. Shout out Sherry. Down there slinging.
That's right.
Barbecue ribs.
Yes.
No, actually, they're vegan. They do vegan, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do.
I don't know. They do vegan.
That was a big conversation. Well, under Parker's administration, she's the one who made that illegal.
So it's illegal now.
Under Parker's administration, she put forward an ordinance to prevent us to feed homeless people publicly.
Wow.
Without a lot of crossing, T's and dotting I's. And so it's a $2,000 fine. So all that we saw and that during that big conversation about, in front of the library, that was kind of under the Anise Parker administration.
Wow.
So, and I'm obviously now on the front end of a civility ordinance, making sure that mental health support is there for our homeless. And then I think the final, and not even the final, but just one other top one I would say is that during the Parker administration, there was a vote that happened with constituents that asked for us to put forward 11.8 cents into a drainage tax. You remember the drainage tax? The drainage fee? Yeah. We all ran on it in 2019 because they were misallocating those resources.
It's supposed to be in a lockbox. Remember that?
Yep. And it was going to general fund, right? Because that was a time where the tax, our tax cap was coming into play. The city was dealing, in her administration, the pension was a big issue. That's something that, Mayor Turner settled at his time. And so now, ironically, fast forward almost 10 years, the lawsuit finally lands and we owe Houstonians almost $415 million.
How does that even work?
That's back pay.
To who?
To that is back
like
pay.
Like to their tax bill?
No. So that money was supposed to be used for infrastructure, for drainage, dedicated drainage and streets. And we were not making those repairs properly. And so Watson and Jones, two engineers, filed a lawsuit against City of Houston. This would be the misallocation of resources was done under the Parker administration, and then continued onward with under Turner administration as well. Yeah. And so now, a lot of our failed infrastructure is because they did not allocate that money the way they were supposed to. And that's why, a lot of the reason why every time it rains.
I got to figure, is it the button? Do I need to tuck it in? I got to figure something out over here. But
yeah, so those are very key issues I think that people should know. And obviously, I believe that we need a newer generation, someone who's seasoned, someone who is not a living and breathing career politician, to really be able to listen to what people are talking about and have the history of doing historical changes and making transformational changes in people. So this is not, in my mind, this is not a hard conversation. It isn't. Do you want that old kind of antiquated idea of concepts, or do you want someone that's new and innovative and willing to bring people and understanding that corporation and community have to come together and find a way to work together? And that's what I bring to the table.
Creosote. I'm not a doctor. Okay. But I know that it has to do with the cancer cluster in Fifth Ward, and there was a documentary. Walk us through what that was, where it came from, and where we are now.
Yeah, so that is my passion project. That is my legacy project. So when I was running for office, I heard rumbles of this cancer cluster that was happening in Fifth Ward. And my dad went to Wheatley. My grandmother was a teacher at Wheatley. So I knew Wheatley. I knew the Fifth Ward area pretty well. And I never could understand why they never got reparations. It just didn't make sense to me on why people are dying. The state has designated as the cancer cluster. We know the creosote is poisonous. Why are these people still suffering? And what I realized was that they never had the opportunity to create the correlation between the creosote, which for our listeners, creosote is a wood preserving agent. And so when you see it on telephone poles, any bug that touches anything with creosote in it is going to immediately die. And so rotted telephone poles, they use it.
Wait
they
a
used
minute.
it. Yeah.
Boomers, Generation X, whoever it was, the silent generation, y'all were wildin'.
Yeah.
Anything above, it would just die.
It would just die.
But okay, so
it preserve it. It would
so that's why the
preserve.
tall telephone poles still last.
Yes.
Because they weren't beaten down by the sun because of creosote.
They
Okay.
painted creosote on the telephone poles.
Okay.
But it was also used on the rail tracks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it preserved that. So the creosote factory, so to speak, was in Fifth Ward. And so, and all of our, Fifth Ward, if y'all remember, but Fifth Ward was like thriving. It was where everyone who was anyone in the city of Houston lived, right? And so, it wasn't Union Pacific at the time. It was Southern Pacific. And this is like the 1950s. You get a good job. I'd always say, your mama says, get a good job. Get a job, insurance, benefits. Yeah, make sure you take care of your family. But they were just getting they were dying. And no one could understand. And so fast forward now, because the correlation wasn't created, we cannot go back and make reparations. Wow. And so what I decided to do was try to team up with maybe like a UT or UT Medical or A&M, some type of medical, Baylor Medical, to determine if they could help me look at the data, because they had thousands of pages of data. And then I got a lot of pushback. And what I realized was these are state-funded institutions. Oh. So the political, the politics start kicking in,
because
right?
It's like, well, wait a minute. If you're doing that, you may hurt us on that end.
There you go. And so I said, okay. I packed my bags. I flew to Atlanta. And I sat in the president's office at Morehouse School of Medicine. And I said, I'm not leaving until you talk to me. Wow. Because we need help in Houston. Wow. And I didn't leave. I made friends with the assistant, and she sat and talked to me. And Dr. Miles Richardson is amazing. I love her because she had her epidemiology and oncology department go through every single page of those documents. Wow. And she was able to give me a scientific understanding of where we are and what we could potentially do. And she said to me, this is way before EPA came out with all the toxicity reports, but she basically said to me, this is a environmental justice issue. Yes. We're too far down the road. The creosote is a whole nother conversation, but I've got to explain to you how creosote it's the vapors coming out of the ground that get into the ground soil. And she said that too much time's lapsed. So we need to look at this from an environmental justice perspective. And so just kept on hitting walls, and fast forward, Mayor Turner had conversations. He put $15 million aside to relocate folks. I was against that because, as Black folk, our houses are everything we have. Yeah. We can't just leave and, leave aunties and grandma.
And then be sprinkled throughout.
There you go.
Cypress and Katy
and lose that fabric, right?
Yeah.
And so.
And you don't have a voice.
Exactly. And your investment. Yeah. And so we put a halt on that. We put a halt on any building that was happening in Fifth Ward just until the EPA came back with their results. But we had to tell a story, right? And so we were able to team up with a company that decided to do a documentary, and they paid for it. Wow! So Acclinate came in and funded the entire documentary. And I would love everyone is watching, please look at our documentary on Fifth Ward. It is the stories of people in the community. It's science-based. UP has a conversation on it. And then after all of that, we were able to bring about $1.8 million in early detection cancer screening to all 200 households.
Travis McGee says, thank you for telling the truth, Letitia, about Rebuild Houston. The not so lockbox. You know what, Travis McGee?
Thank you, Travis
McGee. He has bars. Like he always the not so lockbox.
Not so lockbox. That's right.
Or what was the one that he said about Rebuild Houston? It was like not Rebuild Houston or whatever it is. He always has a way of like flipping it to make it make sense.
No, thanks, Travis. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. So, speaking of environmental justice,
Yes.
we have Ed Pettit here, Friends of Columbia Tap, and so many other things.
Well, I should mention that my day job is actually working as a graduate research assistant with the Bullard Center for Environmental and Climate Justice. So my boss is the Dr. Robert Bullard.
That is
And our center has worked on this project with the Cancer Cluster as well. And even though TSU is a state school as well, Dr. Bullard's not shy about ruffling feathers, and neither am I. That's why I'm working there. And, you know, the Columbia Tap Trail was a former railroad with creosote-covered ties that went to Fifth Ward because Fifth Ward had a huge rail yard, and then you would have interchanges that eventually would take you to the port of Galveston. And the Columbia Tap was only the second railroad in this part of Texas.
Why do they call it the Columbia Tap?
That's a good question, because the railroad that preceded it went from the town of Richmond to Harrisburg, and at that time, pre-Civil War, Harrisburg and Houston were vying for power and for control of Buffalo Bayou and the port. And so the business interests in Houston were jealous of this railroad to Harrisburg, and so they built a short line to tap into it, and they called it the Houston Tap. At the same time, again, this is 1850s, the plantations around the town of Columbia in Brazoria County were trying to find a faster way to get their sugar and cotton to Houston and Galveston. And so they started building a railroad with their enslaved labor from the plantations. And at the time, it was known to be one of the cheapest railroads ever built because of the amount of enslaved labor used. And when those two lines connected in Houston, it became known as the Houston Tap and Brazoria Railway. And it was not just freight rail, but also passenger rail. And so people would board between Houston and Columbia, and people started calling it the Columbia Tap.
Now I know.
Isn't that great?
Now I know.
That is
I've
awesome.
always wanted to know, and now I got you here. I was going to ask.
That's exactly why.
So, what are you working on these days? Like, what's new? What's at the top of your list? You're not running for county judge.
No. I'm a thorn in the side of a lot of politicians.
Yes.
And I should mention that there's some overlap in the story of the Columbia Tap Trail and Anise Parker's administration. I moved to Houston to do my master's in public health, actually, in 2011, and that was when Mayor Parker was in office, and that's when they were finishing up the second extension of the Columbia Tap Trail. Originally, it went from McGregor to about Polk Street, and then there were two extensions, one that curved around through Edo, so now it ends up at the Shell Stadium at Emancipation, and then another extension through this area that was kind of this wooded corridor in South McGregor. And this was a very special part of the corridor because the last train to come through Houston on this railroad was 1985, November of 1985. And actually one of the residents there, Michael Lee, an architect, a gay man who purchased his home in the late 70s, when this train was going by, he'd be in his bathroom on the second floor and would wave to the conductor. And so when this railroad stopped, the Union Pacific, the owner at the time, ripped up the rail, sold it for scrap, and then ignored it, and the city ignored it. And for about 20 years, it was just this vacant alley full of trash and illegal dumping and people driving back there and frat parties and you know, putting their junk cars out there. And the residents in South McGregor, led by Michael Lee, started landscaping. He's an architect, a landscape architect by trade, and gardening. And at the time, he was losing a lot of friends to the AIDS epidemic. And so he would go out there as a form of therapy to do this gardening, and he called it the AIDS Memorial Garden. So this was 1986. And there was a group called the Garden and Yard Society, GAYS, and they would work together to garden here. And so it became this beautiful garden. It's now known as the oldest AIDS Memorial Garden because it precedes the San Francisco AIDS Memorial Grove by 5 years. And it's not well known in Houston. And the reason why is because of Anise Parker, ironically enough. She was so gung-ho on completing this trail and not wanting to work with the community on that section going through the garden to preserve the trees that had been planted. He planted bald cypress trees that are now, 80 feet tall. And even 20 years into it, they were well established already. And he tried to work with her to say, let's just weave the trail around it. Let's try to preserve the garden. And actually, Bill White, before her, promised him that they would preserve the garden. And actually, they had a lot of support for this. Garnet Coleman supported preserving the garden. Pastor Lawson wrote a letter of support saying, we want to preserve this garden. And Anise Parker said, no, it's not in the plans. We got the contractor. We're bulldozing through. And so they bulldozed through the garden. And Michael Lee has been upset with her ever since. And I see this as a failure of community engagement. Like, it could have been such an easy win for her to just work with the community and have both a trail and a garden. It wouldn't have taken a whole lot of extra effort. And it wasn't until the very last day of Mayor Turner's term that Friends of Columbia Tap worked with Michael Lee to put a proclamation forward to officially recognize that garden. Because all the way up until Mayor Turner's term, it was seen as an encroachment because of Mayor Parker not recognizing it when they acquired that right-of-way.
Wow.
So today it's recognized by the city, Public Works and Parks Department. We're working with them on making it even better. We have some signage now for the Age Memorial Garden. But, you know, our group is not a partisan group. Friends of Columbia Tap, we're just a resident advocacy group, and we'll work with all politicians and people of all stripes, and we'll criticize people of all stripes if they're not putting their actions where their mouth is.
I have learned a lot from you, Ed Pettit. Every now and then I'll be scrolling on the Chronicle or somewhere else, and there you are reading them for their rights. Tara says, rebuild some of Houston. That is one of Travis's lines, but no. Thank you for the work that you do. You know, it's really interesting because Houston is one of the only places, whether it's how we choose the next, police chief, how we do insert thing here, it's void of any, even do a Google form survey, pretend, do a Zoom meet. I mean, at least, and it's just like, nope, this is what we're doing. And so
we have the same issue with the George R. Brown expansion right now and closing Polk Street.
Absolutely.
We have a former council member sticking up for the community because his staffer, who now is a council member, isn't listening to the community.
Now, I wanted to know about that because I'm a fan of both. I'm a fan of Gallegos. I'm a fan of Joaquin, of course, because I've been following both of them. And I was just like on so many issues, like with that, because even before that, it was, I forgot what the vote, that's what it was. The vote to put Gallegos on the Port of Houston. That was bad. I was like, whoa, because in my head, there are certain people that I just will not, what's the word? I won't criticize. I will never criticize Alma Allen because she gave me my start. Even the stuff that's going on with Isaiah Martin right now. Isaiah Martin has stepped out there. He's running. Leave that boy alone. Leave that man alone. Right? You wouldn't criticizing everybody else. Let this boy, he say he was senior advisor. He was senior advisor. You went on the phone with Sheila and Isaiah. But, I'm like, hey, but, no, when it comes to community, and I'll say this, so Ed facilitates every Friday the Friends of Columbia Tap coffee, breakfast, what is it called?
And we co-host it. So we co-host
it. Ed's breakfast. Quit being humble. Quit being humble.
I couldn't do it without
let Ed not show up.
Ken Rogers and the Third World Super Neighborhood and other groups. But we started it at Doshi House, and we actually grew too big for Doshi House. And now we moved.
I couldn't imagine y'all at Doshi House. Y'all are outgrowing that. Because if you don't come, it's at 10. Let me tell you, it is the palate cleanser that you need because everyone there is working on something or they're part of something.
Oh, I love that.
And it's just coffee and it's just good. And when I come, I'm 20 minutes late. But it's still good enough to get the thing. And I was going to ask you as you were talking about
we can barely get people to leave.
I know.
They stick around for the after party coffee chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the one time you had the folks to come who they had their models of what they were going to do with part of the Columbia Tap.
Yes, that was with the University of Houston Community Design Resource Center with Susan Rogers.
Oh, I love that.
And they had models of, and then they took feedback from the community about what would work, what wouldn't. People gave their feedback. And here's what I liked about it. It wasn't the technical, blah, blah, blah. It was well, wait a minute. This one looks like this, and I could see people doing graffiti. Or how are we going to keep this one up? Who's going to, you're getting the right questions asked. And that is such a beautiful thing.
And that might also have been another project where we're trying to build a farmer's market pavilion in memorial to a good friend of mine who actually got me really engaged civically, Kirk Jackson.
Wow.
A third world resident who established Blodgett Urban Gardens. Now it's TSU Community Farm. He was involved in healthy outdoor communities and Link Houston and other groups. And he was a great mentor of mine. And so he passed away during the pandemic. And now we want to build a farmer's market pavilion in memorial to him that connects that garden to the trail. And so Perkins and Will did pro bono designs and models for us. So
that's what I think it was. Because it was I don't think this was students.
No,
I don't think this was students.
Perkins and Will, they were top notch.
These people were, yeah. And speaking of, you were at the Link Houston thing. I saw you doing your social media posts, and y'all were racing the red line.
Yeah, and to everyone's point, we have got to do a better job. Yeah. We make these decisions, and by the time it comes to council or by the time it comes in front of us, we learned this from I-45 expansion, right? Everything's already done. Yeah. They just kind of say that they're listening, but no one's really listening.
It's done.
And now the red line is literally stopping at every red light.
Like, what's the point in being on it?
It's like...
I saw y'all walking. When y'all said y'all were going to race the train, I was like, oh, look at them. No, it's crazy.
It's crazy. And what people don't understand is that people can't get to work on time. They can't get their kids. There's a doctor's office that called me that said that their patients now are late all the time.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I lived in Seattle for a few years, and one of the common things that would happen, I would go out with friends, and being from Houston, I would, come and look. I'm looking for parking. Mm-hmm. We would be late. They'd be like, Darrell, did you bring your car again? Why do you keep bringing your car? And I'm like, it's just a habit. Yeah. But there, you don't have to drive. It's easier. The buses come like every 15 minutes. It's tied in with the rail that goes up and down I-5 the way we should have had one to go down I-10. It was perfect. It was already, it just makes sense. And it's almost intentional. Like, so I try to use public transit. I try. Now, I'm not Ed Pettit. I don't have a scooter. I need to get a link or something because his is a real scooter. His is like a legit scooter. But I will walk to right down there by Herman Park and get on the rail and go into town. The cue card thing never works. The screen never works. And it feels like the investment is not made to make people want to ride it. Because if I get on, almost like that taxi that I was riding in, I smell the taxi in this jacket. So it has to go to the cleaners tomorrow. Similarly, let me tell you, you ever got in a car
you come out smelling.
And you can smell, like I just knew, and I smell it now. I smell it on the jacket. But, same thing. Same thing about the train. You sit on that thing and it's plastic, but it's just like, is this what we want people to associate when they come to Houston? Because when people come from other places and they get on Google and they say, "Oh, I'm going Toyota Center," okay, boop, boop, boop. And then they're like, "Wait, what? Oh, there's no shelter for the bus stop, or it's torn down, or it hasn't been kept up." Oh, we're going to get on this thing that doesn't run as often. It's for show.
It's really frustrating. I was running in 2019, and I know, Ed, you remember this, during the Metro Next. I mean, they spent a lot of time. Remember how much time they spent?
We had Metro employees all the time at our super neighborhood meetings. Yes. Now we can't get one to show up.
Exactly. And we all came up with an agreement, right? We knew what Metro Next. Yeah. We would build new, we get ridership up. We would build, make sure that they had, bus stations that were covered and not people sweltering in heat. Right. And then the University line was a part of that. And then Metro, the first thing they did was they did not take that almost, $1 billion from the federal government to build our university line. I actually filed a Title VI claim against Metro.
Need to notice. You see this?
Yeah.
You see this? Wow. When did they bring the rail down, Scott? I specifically, that had to be 2013-ish, 12-ish, 13, because there was a place called Conscious Cafe.
I remember that.
You remember Conscious
bean
Cafe?
Pies?
The bean pies, and they had an eggplant sandwich. Now, I'm not vegan. If you invite me somewhere and you mention vegan. I'm running. Okay. Other than, I'll give you another. Mo Better Brews. Mo Better Brews actually has some like flavorful stuff.
What about the tacos at Doshi House?
The tacos at
those
Doshi,
are
I'll do
great.
them. I'll do
Yes,
those. I will
yes.
do those. And I always, yes, Doshi House, those tacos. But Doshi House, that was like one of the hidden gems that I could just go. And now it's like too many people know about it. I cannot find parking.
I remember back when it had the water feature, the hole in the ceiling.
Yes.
It rained.
Yeah, that's
I
what I'm
miss
saying.
those days.
And it's just like everything is sort of going that direction. But no, I love Conscious Cafe. I remember when they were starting the rail, a lot of those businesses went out of business
Yeah.
because
No
you
construction.
couldn't get to it, and people
Right.
just go home.
Right.
Well, the other thing is that Metro did not include any pedestrian station between Leland and Elgin. And if you look at the whole Metro system, that's the largest length without a pedestrian station. And they bypassed that whole University Village neighborhood. That's that section of Third Ward behind the McDonald's, between UH and the freeway. And they didn't put any crossings there. So you see people cut holes in the fence to get across there. And
By design.
by design, because they include those pedestrian crossings and stations everywhere else.
I never thought about that until you just said that.
we went to Metro and they promised that they would do those improvements with Metro Next. They were going to put in a bike facility on McGowan because we have no connection from Midtown to Scott Street bikeway. Gray Street doesn't go all the way.
Right.
Neither does Cleburne. Neither does Blodgett. Even after Rodney Ellis put his improvements on Blodgett, none of these streets connect all the way. McGowan was supposed to go in with the Metro Next funding, and everything was at 90%, 100% designed, ready to go, and it gets backfired. And I think this is a failure of people in office being able to negotiate and compromise, because I didn't like everything that Mayor Turner, Rodney Ellis did when it came to bikeways, but the solution isn't just to rip them up and do nothing.
Right.
So the pendulum just swung the whole other direction.
Agreed.
Residents just want common sense solutions, and that's why we started the coffee chat, because we're like, there's so many common sense solutions and things we can do, and these politicians are just tugging our chains.
Doing things. Yes,
That's the
that
state
is
of
true.
politics in general right now. And it just like, if you did this, I'm going to undo it.
Right.
And that's kind of a waste.
So petty.
Yeah.
Yes.
So bad.
It's so petty.
And the community
It's not petty.
and the community is the one that suffers every single time.
Absolutely. And so Danny Norris, actually it's Daniel Norris.
Well, you want to say my government name? My government name is Danielle.
Danielle.
It's Daniel. If you
It's Daniel. If you say it real fast, kind of like Kirkendall, something like that.
When you
Give or take.
if you look up Daniel before they had I, there was a Y. So
Okay,
it's
Danielle Norris.
Danny.
I forgot where I met you, but like just a stand-up guy. Before he was a trustee, you probably are still adjunct at Texas Southern School of Law.
not lately. No.
Not lately.
But I was for like 12 years. So
You were Harris County Department of Education trustee. And just all around Comic-Con fan.
it's my wife's book. My wife writes books, and that was the thing.
I didn't know she wrote books.
She has like 17 now, so she has a lot of books. So we used to do the Comic-Con circuit. Before I got in public office, and I had to stop wearing all the crazy outfits for her books,
Oh, you
advertising
should.
her books. So
You should. You're doing it with your wife.
well, y'all know it's all
You
good,
know,
but
it's
you know,
good.
yeah. But that was the thing for this last election. I could talk about that. That's a whole.
Oh,
different
that's
discussion.
crazy. See,
Yeah.
you should have called me. I could have showed you how to shoot back. But anyway, another story. But you're running against an incumbent. You're running against Harold Dutton, right?
Yep.
A district, what is it? 142.
Texas House District 142.
142, which is
It's the northeast side of town. So I tell people it really goes from the east edge of downtown, basically from Fifth Ward out to Lake Houston. It goes as far east as Barrett.
Barrett
people,
Station.
yeah, well, they drop in the station for one understands. So Barrett, Texas, but yeah. But so people who know like, out by Crosby.
Yeah.
So it goes as far east as that. It goes as high as 1960. So parts of Humboldt.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 1960 is the northern border, and then it. Like 10 is pretty much as far south as it goes. But that Fifth Ward part, anything north of the bayou from the east edge of downtown, really the jail is kind of the edge of it, and then it goes out east. So, yeah.
Okay. And so you've run before. How is this running going to be different?
I learned some lessons last time. Well, first of all, running against an incumbent, I started a little late, to say the least. I filed because I had to resign from that seat. So I had to resign to run, as you know about.
Who put that in place?
Well,
because we got a lot of good people that should. I'd like for her to be. Can we start a petition?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
in my specific seat, it was a county position. So and the rule is if you have a county position that is a lucrative position, if it's you have any income. So I'm making $6 a month as a trustee. $6. No, not six. Like $1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. $6 a month.
That's an insult.
Well, it is what it is. So, but that was, basically.
I mean, how did they pause? Like, I get the 700 thing with like their 600 thing with the state reps. Like, I get it. It's like, oh, this is meant to like supplement or gas. What's $6? Is that parking? Is that that's not even gas?
It's the original school board. So I mean, it's found in 1889. So we're talking about a system they just never gave themselves raises. It was like Maryland Burgess. But most school boards don't get paid anyway. So basically, I heard that shit. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna stay out of that one. That's a whole different.
You're smart because you're running for office. See, I can do it. Listen. The opinions heard on the Black House Live. do not represent them. It's me. It was an older school board. Actually, most people don't realize all the independent school districts in Harris County were independent of that board. So Texas used to. I like your history, by the way. So, but a lot of people don't realize Texas used to educate people through the county system. Eventually, they went to the independent model. So Harris County is the only one that has a county school board left at this point. Well, I do know that I lived in Dallas.
Mm-hmm. There was a Dallas County School Board.
Well, and I remember living there, and like all the school buses would say like Dallas County Schools or whatever as like the transportation end. And I just never asked questions, but I always assumed like, are all the school districts just pitching in and running the transportation through the county? So
in Dallas, what they did was they basically switched the county model to where they just worked on the transportation, and then I think what ended up happening, I was down here, but what I believe happened is they had some kind of scandal with that, with a contract or something like that, and then they decided to put them on the ballot, and then most people don't know what the county board does. They're like, what is this county board? They had a scandal, let's get rid of them, and they voted for them to end the county school board in Dallas, and they've been trying to do the same thing in Harris. There's a couple of folks on the right side of the political spectrum that
like Eric Dick.
Well, no. Well, Eric is on the board,
but wasn't he talking about trying to eliminate it at one point?
I think at some point. Well, there was a whole bunch of people. Actually, I think Eric has kind of changed his tune on that one. But yeah, I think he
at one point.
So a lot of the Republicans were, let's end this school board. Their claim was that it duplicated services, and which is not necessarily true. So what Harris County decided to do was, what are the gaps in the county in the education system in Harris County? How do we fill those gaps? So that's why there's like the alternative schools things. We had the kids that like, if you get kicked out of your alternative program, we got the kids before they went to juvie. Like, we had the two special needs schools. So you had the kids that have either physical or emotional disabilities. We had people come as far as Brenham trying to send their kids because they're like, we don't have anything like this. So yeah, you have all different types, and then we had a sobriety school. So there was two schools for kids with disabilities. One was an alternative program, and then one was a sobriety school. And those were kids who were like, you catch a kid vaping a few times. They might not be the most disruptive kid, but they might have a substance issue. And then how do you address that? So, and that was something nobody was doing. So not unless you're gonna pay a lot of money. So that was a public service for the schools for that. So a lot of those things. So that was good. That was good work. After we flipped the board, that was another thing. It's a partisan board. That was a difference too. Most school boards are independent. I mean, most school boards are nonpartisan. So we had to run as Democrats and Republicans. So when I got on that board, it was 5 Republicans, and there was 2 of us that were Democrats. So we were outnumbered. They were, trying to shut the place down. They were going one year when I first got on the board president went testified in the legislature to shut us down. It was very interesting. So, and then by the end of my first year, he resigned to run for state rep. One of the other moved out of his district. So we had the votes and then we flipped the board, and all of a sudden it was 4-3, and then by the time I left, it was 6-1.
Wow.
So then we started doing things like adult education building. We had expanded all the different programs to make sure that we addressed some of the issues that were going on. So got a chance to do some things. So my plan was kind of the same thing in the legislature, because everybody said, well, why the heck you want to go to Austin? You outnumbered. What do you have a high tolerance for pain just to go and get beat up every session like that? And so it was like, well, I kind of did that for a little bit. I kind of know the
Yeah.
know the route, and it's and while I was there, I was actually the first African American president. I didn't realize that either.
Wow.
African American board president. So 130 something years. That was
If you think about it, it makes sense though.
yeah. But I was like six months into the term, and we finally realized, wait a minute, has there been a black board president? It's like, oh, maybe not. Oh, I guess I'm the first. So, but one of the things I realized on that board was that we had some of the most challenging aspects, some of the most challenging students. But what you can do, the HISD takeover was happening at the same time in the background. The whole time it was simmering when I was running for the board, and it happened my last year on the board, and they were all in district. I represented precinct 1, which is the same precinct as Rodney Ellis. I represented that precinct on that board, and all the big black neighborhoods were the ones that had the schools that were in danger. Wheatley ended up being the school that was a trigger, and Wheatley, and then they cited Kashmir as well. But one of the things I realized when they had, you guys were talking about the cancer cluster, all those things that happened in my district.
In the same district that's been represented by the same person since
same
1984.
I'm sorry, 85. He got elected 84.
You know where I was in 85?
Where?
Thought of.
I was like, were you born?
Thought of. And y'all see this gray in my beard? Gray in my beard. And somebody been sitting in that seat since I was before I was born. Mm-hmm. So that is true. The creosote didn't think about that, and the school takeover as well.
The lowest life expectancy in the county at the time when I saw that the first study I saw that came out in 2019 when I was on the board, when I first got on the board, they showed the lowest life expectancy in the county was Kashmir Gardens, 77026. That zip code sits directly between Wheatley and Kashmir High School, the two schools cited in the takeover, and you look a little bit more, it has like the second lowest income. These are socioeconomic issues. And, I even brought that up when I ran before, and, he kind of framed it as, when you're trying to say poor kids can't learn, it's like, no, that's not the issue. You don't have to be an education expert to realize if you go home and there's no food, nobody care about school. Mm-hmm. If the lights are off, I read real well, but not in the dark.
Right.
So if you have a lot of hurdles, you have to have more. Now, what I do agree with him is that, yes, you should not send your least qualified teachers to your most needy schools. I agree with that part. Yeah. But ultimately, long term, I think the schools are more of an indicator of what's going on with the neighborhood. You have to ultimately address the neighborhood issues if you want the healthy schools.
Because the kids go home. They go home to a home.
Correct.
Right? And so if I'm not being fed, if my parent has to work 2 jobs and doesn't know. Did I ever tell you I was expelled? You know how I got expelled? Because I would never show my mom my report card.
Oh, wow.
I was making good grades, but I was like missing days. A lot of days.
Does mom know?
Oh, she knows now. Okay. I mean, now I can like, because now it's like a cute past story. Like, remember when? But, look, I was there. Like, my mom had to work multiple jobs in order to do it. I remember skipping school one day, and I had locked the top lock when she left, because, like, she would leave, and then I would be home. And then, by the time she made it back home at the end of the day, I would have been out of school already. So she just never knew. But she left her purse or keys or something, came back, and the top lock was locked. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? But no, like there. And it's some of the same key indicators. And I'll tell you this because you're an amazing candidate. I mean,
thank you.
Like, I'm endorsing you, right?
I appreciate that.
And I know I still owe you a check.
I appreciate that too.
It's coming. It's in the mail.
Important.
It's in the mail. And that's what they all don't. What they say it's in the mail. But in all seriousness, I wished when it was you, when it was Bunton, when it was Candace Houston, in my opinion, because you got to think about it, he's not just Representative Harold Dutton. He's Harold. And it's one thing to run against the representative. It's another thing to run against like that storied figure that's almost like a superhero, right? Because everybody's got a story. He went to school. He literally went to school with my aunt Aljanita. He this, he that. So it's like, I wished y'all would have hit him with 1842. Like really, like went on the. And here's the thing: if you're an incumbent, you should be able to take it.
Right.
You should be able to explain yourself, but really to frame it that way to where it's not just, hey, here's Harold and I'm an alternative, but instead, this is why this is where it is today.
Correct. No, I agree. So you realize that everybody did not know that. So a lot of people didn't realize, and even though he wrote a whole op-ed piece that my amendment helped the takeover happen. I have no regrets. I mean, he has a
Well,
whole.
but people don't read.
Yeah, well, there's that. But even more so, even if he did not do everything right now, there is so much needed in that district.
Yes.
That there has to be a change because what has been going on has not worked, and that's my bigger point. It's so yeah, he's been there forever, and everybody knows that. But like, there is so many things going on. I mean, with regards to the cancer cluster, with regards to the schools, with regards to voter turnout. That's another thing. You know, I called. He was on NPR when they had broke quorum, and you know, my point was, look.
I was shocked. I ain't gonna lie. I was shocked he went with him.
Oh well, yeah. And I called up there. I called the radio. I was like, now that y'all are out of state, y'all come back every session. And said we got vouchers shoved down our throat this session. We got the CRT anti-CRT bill shoved down our throat. While you were the education chair, by the way, we got now we're getting redistricting shoved down our throat. And y'all leave every session and y'all come back and say, we don't have the numbers. And the question is, what point do you say, how do we get the numbers in our favor? And districts like mine, a lot of undervoting goes on. So the question is, how the heck do you get more people involved? Like, so last year was the presidential year, should have been the biggest year, right? 134,000 people that are of age to vote in our district.
Yeah.
96,000 are registered to vote, 56,000 voted.
Yeah.
That's the presidential cycle.
Yeah.
So that's the high mark.
Well, and I mean, if you look at it, and I would argue this, like, I've lived in other places, and I've worked in like 26 of the 50 states, right? Everywhere else, there are exciting down ballot races.
Right.
In Michigan, they have term limits in the legislature.
Right.
So what it does is it creates an opportunity for there to be new reasons for you to be excited to vote.
Correct.
I actually ran for state rep in Michigan, and one of the highlights was like these guys that used to hang outside of the corner store, and I mean they were doing all kinds of stuff, but they would be excited to see me. They would be like, "Hey man, this the senator. This that dude. Hey Rail, come over here and talk to my auntie. You know, like this is the way that you do it. It cannot just be because who's excited about getting a ballot where everyone, all the incumbents are in.
Correct.
Everyone who has relationships, oh, I know such and such, and we have to get around this gatekeeping system.
That's another thing too. I mean, so we see what's going on right now in 18, and that is not how we want to do. And I was talking to them earlier. I was like, we should not have a political system that is kind of like Big Mama dying without a will.
Right.
And you have 20 people fighting over the property.
Well, Big Mama died, and then Big Daddy died.
Yeah, and there's 20 people fighting over the property.
And then there's 20 people fighting over the property. It's down in probate.
Yeah.
We got cousins from Louisiana that's coming.
Yeah.
Saying that this and they mama name. I mean, it's a mess.
Yeah, it is. So I mean, a lot of reasons. So to your original point, what am I doing different? I've done some surveys and realized a big part is more people need to know me. I just ran, and it still is only a third of people who actually recognize my name.
Yeah.
So I got some work to do in that regard. Yeah. I'm raising money, so I appreciate that check.
Yes.
And if anybody wants to give a check, you can get that check too.
Yeah.
But that the message is to get the actual message out. So yes, in addition to. And what people are looking for, I also did a survey. What are people looking for? They're looking for opportunity. That's why my whole message is centered around opportunity. They want opportunity for themselves and their kids to get some money, to get some decent health care, and then a lot of those things flow from there. So I mean, people would think education is so high because that's what a lot of his priorities have been. But it's like it was a distant third. We're talking about almost 40% on economics, mid 30s on health care, 11% on education.
Yeah.
It is the priority is. How do I have opportunity? How do I stay healthy while having those opportunities? Yeah. And then all the rest will address themselves.
And then what's really interesting with me when it comes to politics, most people are not really into politics.
That's true.
And I would compare it to football. Like, I don't even know. If you were to say, Darrell, I'll give you $100,000 if you name 5 Houston Rockets. I can't name one. Literally.
Oh, you mean Texans?
Or Texans. Give me Texans. I can't name 5, right? I can't. And so, but I can name every member of the Harris County Commissioners Court.
Right.
And what year and what percentages they got in and Lena's numbers in 20. Somebody was sitting in here, one of the episodes, trying to argue with me. I was like, no, it was 50 point. I know. So for those that aren't there, look at the winning, especially nationally, right? Hope, change, right?
Right.
And then you look on the other side and you see what they say. It's very clear. You know, I'm organizing a TEDx event, and what's really interesting is I'm learning more about like the way that people communicate and the way that people are receptive to communication. I mean, if you got to think about it. There have been times, and those of y'all who follow me on social media have probably seen this. I can be very facetious intentionally. I'll ask a question I know the answer to because I want people in the comments to light it up, right? I'll say something like, well, but with the school vouchers, can't people just open new schools? I literally asked that. People were ready to reach through the computer. I'm like, no, I'm doing it for a reason because that's the way, in my opinion, that you change hearts and minds, like through very clear. And I would have been hitting Harold. Harold's closing our schools. Harold did this. Representative Dutton did this. Representative Dutton is the reason why. Like, I mean, and I know it feels uncomfortable because he's this revered figure. And a lot of times we don't make it popular or even acceptable to push back against revered figures. I push back against Turner, and people be in my inbox. I'm like, I didn't cuss him out.
Right.
He's the mayor.
Well, but you deserve. It don't matter, and you know this. No matter what office you're in, you should be checked.
And you should be able to say, and you should be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
You should be able to defend yourself.
Right.
And if you can't, then it's time to go. And I look at it like this: if I put something on Facebook that make you pissed off, and you're a state rep, you're a state senator, we need to bring your ass back from Austin. Because if you can't take this, then I know what you're doing with negotiating for our community.
Correct.
You can't take it. Because if you can't take this, and this is bubble gum. This is bubble gum. This is hopscotch. If you can't do this, come home.
Right.
Come home. Play with your grandkids.
There you go. I agree.
There
Completely
you
agree.
go. Well, all due respect to Harold Dutton, I will say, Harold Dutton, let me tell you about Harold. Harold has a radio voice. He always sounds so profound. He's very careful with the way that he speaks. He's very, they don't make him like that no more. Isaiah Martin does that, though. Listen to him. Listen to Isaiah. Isaiah has it. But I will say Candace Matthews is in here. She says she's supporting Danny. Hey. My God, Bama / HISD trustee / Harris County. What is it? The thing with the appraisal, HC. Come on,
HCAD.
HCAD.
Yes.
Kathy Ballard Bluford Daniels is supporting you.
I appreciate it.
Okay, let's see. We scrolling. Kathy said that's exactly what I would have hit him with, particularly having been a board member, being affected, and realizing the importance and loss of representation for our district. So absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so and that's part of the messaging, and that's why things like that. That's a messaging thing, and to do that properly, you're gonna need. That's the purpose of the finance, because you have to have your messaging, and you have to say, this is why I'm the person, and this is why I'm the better alternative, and I agree. So yeah, I mean, and like
because I worked for MoveOn.org, this huge pack that spent like $40 million last year. The extent to which they A/B test everything before it goes out, like. It's lengthy. If they have a list of 2 million that are eventually going to get this message, they'll send the same one to a 50,000 batch of both. Then they'll study that. I mean, the iterative process that they go through, and then at the end, it's like, oh, this is why. That's the way you shouldn't be sending. If you're running for office, you shouldn't be sending the same e-blast to everybody. Your donors should get something different from your people, make them feel special. You should know which issues. You should have a bucket of people who care about this, a bucket of people who care about that, a bucket of people who do that, and they should get separate messaging.
Right.
I would also say, think about the person who owns the restaurant. I'm thinking of one. But he probably watching, so I'm not going to say his name. And I'm not going to say the name of the restaurant. Because I've been being good. I turned 39. I'm turning over a new lease on life. I'm not going to do it. But there is a restaurant where the owner won't stay out of the way. And there are some candidates that won't stay out of their own way. The owner of the restaurant should not come in and dictate, I like catfish. We should do a catfish special on Fridays. You know what else I like? I like sparkling water. We should do Topo Chico Tuesdays. No, that is not the way it works. It should be driven by data. It should be driven by what people are buying.
Correct.
Versus what people want to push. And there's a lot of messaging that I see.
Right.
And it's like, no. And by the way, I did say, and I want to put this plug out there too, I will be doing a fundraiser. We're selling fish plates down at what is it? What's the name of that place? We're doing fish plates down, and I'm working with Marcus over the Breakfast Club in order to buy a lapel mic for State Representative Ron Reynolds, because his video. Let me tell you, it be sounding like this. It be sounding like that. We gotta get him a $20. I love Ron, but we gotta get him a $20
comment on Facebook.
lapel thing. I will be sitting around the Act Blue. Kathy says. Oh, Tara says candidate Zillis. That's true, Bridezillas. Like, yes, there's some horrible candidates. Yeah. There's some people who I've worked for where I was like, man, everybody love you, but if they knew this shit, they would not put you in office. But July says, y'all gonna have whiting or just catfish. We doing both. We got to get that lapel bike. But Ed, I want to know from you. We got two candidates sitting here. You're a very influential person. People care about what you think. How do you grade, or what does it take before you throw your name behind somebody?
I don't endorse folks. Like I said, I'm really not a political person. I'm a civics person. And I think that even from what I've heard today from our candidates is that we are failing our students in school in not teaching civics.
Correct.
People graduate and don't know how government works even at a local level. And that's actually a big reason behind these coffee chats is that I'm also on the board of our super neighborhood for 3rd Ward. And we get people coming to our super neighborhood meetings, and we're talking about all these things happening in the city, and people don't know what a TERS is, what a management district is, what a redevelopment authority is, you know, what the general fund is, and the fact that there's ad valorem tax cap, and what a local government corporation is, and how's that different from a nonprofit. And like, so that's why we started the coffee chat, because we said, okay, I literally one day said, maybe Friday at Doshi House, I'll explain some things. And a bunch of people came, and they said, can we do this again next Friday? And now we have over 150 of those. It
really
chats.
is. Wow. It is. If y'all have not been, they do them at Ratto Market or Ratto Market. Ratto. Yeah. And do you know, and I should get my 3rd Ward card revoked, because I did not know that Ratto was short for El Dorado.
El Dorado.
Oh.
Yeah. Ratto Market. Yeah. Did you know?
I love that
See?
phrase.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Somebody broke it down for me, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Well, okay.
See, that's why you need to come to coffee chat. We break things down.
Wow.
Yes.
But really, we need to take that time to catch people up to speed, because things are very complicated. You know, the Columbia Tap Trail, it goes through 2 council districts, it goes through 4 TERS districts, it goes through 3 management districts. There's state representatives we deal with issues at the federal level. When Centerpoint was coming through and trying to bulldoze again through the A's Memorial Garden, cutting down trees for their high voltage lines, we had the only way to stop it was getting Sheila Jackson Lee on the phone.
See?
Because our utilities have Texas state exemption from city rules. They don't have to they don't have to get any permission from Public Works to do things. And so we literally had to get our federal rep on the phone to get them to stop chopping down these trees. And this is why we mobilize people through these coffee chats. Now, I will tell you, there are candidates that I'm supporting behind the scenes and helping them with their policies. And that's how I give my support.
That's true.
And I support the folks that I see supporting the community.
Yes.
So don't only come and show up at the super neighborhood meetings when you're running for office.
And it comes off. They show up to the meetings. They don't be knowing what be going on. They don't be knowing nobody. You could have just stayed at home. Should have just stayed at home.
But to your point, that's who you should be tapping on. I mean, actually, I'm reworking a version of the bill that got HISD taken over. I'm reworking it. I'm actually trying to send it through the education experts. Like, if we did this, and ultimately instead of a takeover, it would be a fine. Because the idea of not letting schools continually fail, I get that. I can dig that part. Having the school board taking over for one school. Not necessarily in favor of. So, you know, my thought is a potentially escalating fine. But what are the ultimate consequences? Now, I can do research, but I would rather people who are experts in the field. How is it going to affect these different communities if you do that? Will it work before you just throw it in the legislation, and then all of a sudden the school district is taking over, and you say, well, dang, what happened? So.
Kathy Bluford Daniel says before Danny was too nice. Can't play footsie in a race against an incumbent, and that is true.
Right.
I'll tell you, when I ran in Michigan, it was wild because I was nice. I was trying to be respectful. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yeah.
And there was this one lady who would come to all the forums. She drove a raggedy, like 2007 Chevy Trailblazer, and the hatch wouldn't stay down, right? But she would ask the same question at all the forums. You're going to forums. You see the same 12 people, 30 people, because they're involved and they're engaged. And they're not to be discounted because they are the tentacles. Like what Miss Kathy says when she bumps into people at the store or what it matters.
Yes.
Like, I didn't even know some stuff that I post and people know. I'm like, what? You pay attention to this? You watch this?
Right.
And so it's like, it has to be clear. It has to be concise. This one time, it was one of those days like today where like I haven't had dinner. I haven't had lunch. I was late on the plane, blah, 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 blah. And she got a different version. I responded to her respectfully, but I let her have it. I let her have it. And I that passion was like a tipping point. A lot of people, when it was over, I was like, damn, I done disrespected this church lady. It's over now. I ain't from here. It's all right. But people were like, yeah, man, I ain't know you had it in you, you know? And so, like, I would love to be in the room when you do debate prep. I think Harold Dutton, like, say what you want, he's an orator.
He's a good orator. I agree.
He is, but I've seen him get frazzled.
Well,
I've seen him get, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, okay, lean in there a little more.
He's a good storyteller. I will say that.
Very.
Great. He gives great stories. They don't usually always answer the question though.
But it doesn't matter.
He goes around about, and you're like, well,
But
that
you
wasn't
can
what
do
nobody
that,
asked you.
because here's what happened last time. Last time, they asked you, what color's the sky? And you said, well, it depends. During the day, it's a lighter blue. In the evening, it's more of a darker blue. Sometimes it could be midnight blue. The sky essentially is blue. Mr. Dutton, what color's the sky? Well, let me tell you about the history under that sky that I have led this district in, and what we face as a people right now. And it's just like, but watch. Out of 100, 90 people are like, right? So it's like, there's the Chronicle editorial answer, and then there's the Good Hope Missionary Baptist Church forum answer, and then there's the somebody bump into you at HEB answer.
True.
And I think you're a smart guy. Do. You know that it is a show.
Yeah,
it's on Disney. Okay.
So who's giving the Houston Press swamp lot answer these days? We're missing, I think, a big chunk of our grassroots press.
Yes.
And I was wondering, is our podcast like this a replacement for that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because this is the way that people are digesting information. Like, there's no formal thing for this. Only because I wanted to just practice. And I was on Robin J. Anderson's podcast yesterday. He records at the Acres Homes Barber College.
Barber College, yeah.
And he does everything himself. He was moving cameras and hooking up stuff. I'm like, I don't do none of that. I show up, camera, different thing, and I get up out of here. But no, he's doing it. You have July McShay, who is in here right now, who does her thing.
Right.
This is the new place that people are getting their information. And I think it has to be, in a way, a lot of people are like, you shouldn't be so silly. You should be serious. I ain't got nothing to prove. Right? And it's like you have to give it in that way, and you have to be accessible, because this is what people care about. This is what people will watch. Yeah. Then there's pretty petty politics interview.
That's right, yeah.
Let me tell you something, and I want to ask you a lot of this, because y'all did a hit job on my boy Isaiah. You did a hit job. Leave that boy alone. And it's just like I was gonna say, July. They didn't give you credit in the Chronicle article. Was it your podcast that did that? But yeah, Tara says it's charm, marketing. That's what campaigns are about. It literally is. It's sad.
Yeah.
Because even when I ran, I was so proud of my 8.5 by 11 glossy piece of mail. And Lamar Lemons, OG in Detroit was like, this is too many words. And the seniors who vote via ballot by mail, they not reading all this and they can't see. Make it bigger.
Right.
And you know what he suggested? He said, your last name is Douglas. Put your face on this side, and we're going to put Frederick Douglass on the other side, and we're going to say the legacy continues. I was like, hell no. No. I haven't vetoed anything up till now, but no. And they convinced me. That was our best performing mailer. People would stop me at the gas station. But are you related to him? And I'd say, well, we don't know. 'Cause they didn't blah, blah, blah. So it's just like I leaned in. I actually won Detroit. I almost wouldn't here right now. But God knows more. God knows all. Everything happens for a reason. I won Wayne County. I was almost not here. But looking back at that decision, I'm glad I didn't. It's cold up there right now.
I know.
But
Midwest cold, too.
I'd like to just jump in and say this. What Ed does in his community.
Yes.
I'm really serious. As a politician, as an elected official, if we don't have people like you that actually have your ear to the street and you don't guide us and direct us on how we make our decisions, it's really hard to do good work.
Yeah,
right.
And I just want to acknowledge you on that. Seriously,
I
you
appreciate that.
seriously,
Thank
you are really, and you're a trusted partner.
Yes.
And that's the other part of
Why
it too.
does this thing?
You're just a part. And
You need to go to Mr. McQueen. He'll get you
No,
right.
it's not. Here's what it is. I was in a rush. So I didn't tuck my shirt in all the way. I didn't tuck my shirt in.
Doing that.
It's a fashion show now.
I didn't do that. And then you're supposed to do this. And then when you sit down, you're supposed to pull it down in the back.
He's doing all this.
Feel better
and
now?
Then you pull it around. So now,
They're good
there we
now?
go. Now we good.
And I've got to give a shout out to Danny too. So Danny is. We're doing an apartment inspection reform ordinance that we've been pushing.
Wait, say that again. You said it
So
too fast.
apartment, I know it's a lot of words. Apartment inspection reform ordinance.
I saw. Yes.
And I've been working on that for 2 terms. And I just want to give Danny a shout out. He has been assigned to all the council members when it comes to a Prop A amendment, something that we want to put forward and get on the agenda. Because as everyone may not know or know, in the city of Houston, we're not allowed to put anything on the agenda. But now, because our voters voted on it, we're able to do that. And Danny, I just want to really give you a shout out because your assistance, your guidance legally has really allowed our ordinance to really come to a place to where we can actually put it on the agenda now. And so both the people in this room, Jarrell, have changed my life in a big way. And I just want to give both of you, I seriously want to give both of you, because I've not been in the room with both of you, and I want to acknowledge that because it takes a little bit of all of that to hold us accountable and make sure that we do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I think, and this could be a masterclass, both of them, a masterclass on leadership. Because when you go to the Friends of Columbia tap, Ed's Coffee. That's what it is, really, Ed's Coffee. When you go to Ed's Coffee on Fridays, everyone feels welcomed. Yeah. Everyone gets a voice. It's not one of those meetings where, because we got some Democratic clubs where we got presidents that have been presidents for so damn long. And it's like, this is not even what this really is. This is really your social club. But you actually allow people to do that thing. And same thing for you. Like, it's the people who aren't fighting for the spotlight that end up getting it. Because I don't care about getting some award from some organization. I really don't, because then I got to buy another suit. I got to buy a ticket.
Table.
I got to have people at the table, because I can't just be sitting there by myself.
There you go.
And then I got to, and then it's just like, no. The acknowledgement that I love is when people like Miss Kathy, people like Charlene Jones say a good word or see the work or that are part of the work that I'm doing. And I'm pretty sure it's the same way for y'all. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to do everything I can to get you elected this time.
Appreciate it.
Like for real.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're at this, pressure point with the state ledge where, I mean, where do we go from here? I didn't think it could get any worse.
Yeah, I mean, because people have asked me, they say, why don't you run for the city or why don't you go for even Congress? It's like, look, every time the city does something or the county does something, the state says, nope, you can't do that anymore.
Absolutely.
It's illegal
Yes.
the next session. And then the same thing with, even at the point of now, somebody even said, now I'm actually in Al's, the new 9, I'm actually in 9. And they were like, why don't you run for 9? I said, so they can redraw it the next year. First of all, they drew for a Republican, but even if I win, they can redraw it the next year.
Just redraw it.
The adults need to be at the State House right now. And that's why I'm, I think it's the place to be right now.
Well, I want to be in the room when y'all do debate prep.
Okay.
I want to be Harold. Dr. Plummer, I mean, you are just a joy. Like, you are really, I remember doing those budget negotiations. Like, you stood firm. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing your thing. To those of y'all who are watching, Robert Williams says, for the candidates, if you are of service to your community, you don't have to campaign, as your service campaigns for you.
That's true.
That's Letitia Plummer. I mean, you can still you still have to campaign, but you get my drift.
And I think she's been a great boss and mentor, because one of her followers, Jordan Thomas, is the same way. He serves the community. And those are the kind of people that I want to support, are folks that you actually see out there when they're not campaigning, getting their hands dirty.
Absolutely. So in closing, first of all, thank y'all for being here. Thank you for everybody who's online. I was late today. I had the bright idea. I was on a show in San Antonio, and I was like, I'll fly, because then I'll save time. No, I should have drove. I would have been here on time today. But thank you so much. We do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Any last words? How can people get in touch with you?
Yes, so please go on to Dr. Plummer, drletitiaplummer.com. All of our information's on there. This is a grassroots campaign. We're not running this campaign from any high level. We want to touch people. We want to help people. And I'm really going to need your support. I mean, a lot of people are kind of, I always kind of think, remember in Lion King when when Scar came in and there was like Mufasa, right? That's kind of how everyone feels about Anise Parker. Ooh,
Ain't gonna lie, Doc. When she entered, I was like, ooh,
it's a bit scary, but I think it's time for change. I think that the overarching fear is there because people don't know what something else feels like, and we don't expect things to actually happen. And I'm that candidate that makes things happen. So I'm asking for your support.
Yes.
Yeah. And for me, you can go to Danny Norris, D-A-N-N-Y, Norris, like Chuck, just a little darker, N-O-R-R-I-S.
Oh, I like that. Like Chuck, a little darker.
The number 4 Texas, 4TX. So Danny Norris, 4TX.com. And I have all the socials. I'm on Instagram, TikTok.
Are you on TikTok? Your kids got you on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to put every venue you can go to. I want to reach people, but it's the whole purpose is to reach people and to be a resource. That's what I've tried to be beforehand. As a lawyer, you get a lot of calls, and you try to direct them to people that can help them.
Yes.
Because you only do certain things. It's like I work for the city, so I don't do I don't do baby daddy law. I don't do baby mama law. I don't do certain types of law.
But they reach out. People are reaching out to me. Do you know I get legal inquiries? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow. Yeah. So, but to serve as a resource, and I'll be doing things even before the election. I do have projects that I'll be working on just because that's the whole purpose. You're supposed to serve in these seats.
Absolutely.
And you should be serving already, to your point. It shouldn't be, there's an election. Now now we see you at a church.
Dust off my shoes.
Yeah. So you should be out there doing the work and actually doing that. So that's what I plan on doing between now and then. So to another part of your point, I'll be out there doing the work and I'll be inviting people to get the resources to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Put me down for a fundraiser.
Okay. Hey, let's make it happen.
I told you, it's a check and a fundraiser. It's a check. We may have to adjust the check for the fundraiser. But anyway, Ed Pettit.
So I like to organize my life on Linktree. So you can go to Ed Pettit, TTI, or Friends at Columbia Tap, and that's how you can access all our socials and information.
That is awesome. Well, folks, this has been Live from the Black House, a.k.a. The Darrell Douglas Show. Thank y'all so much for watching. We do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. plus or minus. And you can find me mostly on Facebook. I'll be on there acting a fool, pointing things out, engaging folks, making folks pay attention. And on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, listen, LinkedIn is where it's at. And with that, thank you and good night.